All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to go live with more Jujutsu Kaisen, because after this chapter, we only have 4 more chapters for the entire series. You want to know how I found out that Jujutsu Kaisen was ending? When I was reading Sakamoto Days the day after the last chapter. That's when I learned that we were going to have 5 more chapters of Jujutsu Kaisen left. I'm still trying to reel over the fact that, My Hero Academia has ended. But now we only have 4 chapters left after today's chapter, and then Jujutsu Kaisen is over. So I'm like, can I grieve? I'm still in mourning. I'm still in mourning, and then you're gonna put me back through another memorial service once again. But good to see you, Nate. Good to see you, Angel. Good to see you, CDs. Let's get started with today's chapters, shall we? Yo, peoples! Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to more Jujutsu Kaisen. As we get closer to the end of the series. Last we left off, Yuji was, well, actually we have this. So we have, in the last chapter, because I had the last one pulled up just so I can remember everything that happened last week. A lot has happened during last week. But we have Fushiguro going, "You've done enough. I wanted to create a place that wouldn't expose Sumiki to injustice and unhappiness. And if I couldn't do that, then at least I wanted to preserve our fragile lifestyle as much as I could while I was still alive." And it shows Yuji going up against Sukuna, who's using, his extra arms to cast Hollow Wicker Basket, which will also enable him to fight at the same time. So he's fighting Yuji with his hands clasped together so that Hollow Wicker Basket can protect him from Yuji's domain, which is still very much active right now. And they get to fighting, and Yuji actually manages to get through Sukuna's Hollow Wicker Basket. Because not only is that happening, but also the soul of Megumi Fushiguro is actually starting to resist Sukuna, because he goes to step towards Yuji, and his foot steps into like a black shadow, and it causes him to misstep, allowing Yuji to punch him square in the face. And then Yuji starts to break through Hollow Wicker Basket, which is something that is surprising to Sukuna as well. So, the last thing we see is Yuji's gauntlet gets destroyed off of his arm, because apparently Sukuna has replenished his ability to use curse techniques again. And he destroys the gauntlet that's on Yuji's arm, and then Sukuna puts his hands in a motion that is akin to Gojo's Infinite Void, or Unlimited Void if you're going by the manga. And in that instant, Sukuna notices, as he goes domain expansion, he notices that Yuji is missing 2 of his fingers on his hand. This is the first time we're seeing Yuji's hand underneath this chitin-like plating that we saw him having on his arms ever since he dropped out of the domain of Kinji Akari. And when they first dropped in to take on Sukuna way back when. This is the first time we're seeing his actual hand, and he's missing fingers. And then it zooms in into this location that's a long, winding staircase that has a singular finger just hanging up in there. And I believe that's one of Sukuna's fingers. But that's the last chapter that we got. So let's move on to chapter 267. Chapter 267, Inhuman Makyo Shinjuku Showdown Part 38. And Jujutsu Kaisen, last 5 chapters. And for this, we get like a color cover page where it has Yuji, Gojo, Megumi, and Nobara. And they all have little dogs on their heads. Yuji has a pug, Gojo has a bloodhound, a basset hound to be accurate. Megumi has a Shiba Inu, and I believe Nobara has like that's not a golden retriever. That is like, what sort of dog is that? Is that a poodle? I want to say is that a little Yorkie poo? No, not a Yorkie poo, but mini poodle. It might be a mini poodle. I can't tell what that dog is specifically. Someone will tell me. But then we start, and we apparently, did we go back in time? Yeah, we go back in time when Gojo was still alive, and he's speaking to Yuta. "Yuta, you want Sukuna's last finger?" What? What? Wait a minute. What the? Is this... Is this backwards? Because Yuta's sitting down, but he's... Yuta, you want Sukuna's last finger? Wait, this is weird, because Yuta's saying, Yuta, you want Sukuna's last finger? And Gojo standing up going, yes, Gojo-sensei, you're hiding it, right? I can have Rika eat it to copy Sukuna's malevolent shrine. But even in your body, I can't read your memories. And... So this is... Wait, so this is when Yuta is completely switched with Wait, what is going on here? Okay, let me continue, because this conversation is already confusing me. Yes, Gojo-sensei, you're hiding it, right? I can have Rika eat it to copy Sukuna's malevolent shrine, but even in your body, I can't read your memories. Nope. Can we discuss this seriously? I'm being serious. Yuta, that would satisfy the conditions for copy. After all, it's one of Sukuna's 20 fingers. But it isn't enough to get you an analytical breakdown of Malevolent Shrine. You're right. Even when it comes to cursed speech, there's a lot I don't understand without asking Inumaki. Huh? You can use it over the phone? Salmon. Then it's not a good idea to lose the connection to Sukuna at this point. Huh? It's a bet. Or as Hakari would say, it's a fever. Besides, if you want to copy Malevolent Shrine, the conditions of my copy curse technique... Oh, wait. What the heck is going on? Wait, oh. Besides, if you want to copy Malevolent Shrine. And then it cuts from Yuta, who's a It cuts from Yuta? And then it cuts back to Yuta, who's in his normal body, and he's there with Mei and Yuji. The conditions of my copy curse technique requires Rika to consume a part of the target's flesh. The amount and part consumed change depending on who you want to copy and the number of times you want to use it. In order to copy a particularly strong technique, it's necessary to consume a body part that's more vital to the sorcerer. But if it's not possible, you can satisfy the conditions by placing a binding vow on the number of times. And then Yuji goes, so if you can use reverse curse technique... For example, copying Gojo-sensei's limitless curse technique might require taking his arm, but then he can just regenerate it. So we should at least copy Gojo-sensei and Hakari-senpai's curse techniques. It'll hurt, but no, that won't work. When the consumed body part regenerates through reverse curse technique, the sorcerer value hits 0, making it impossible to satisfy copy's conditions. So now we're understanding a lot more about Yuta's copy technique from Rika. Now we're getting a broader understanding. If you use reverse curse technique to heal yourself, after Rika has already copied your technique by consuming that part of you, then she completely loses the ability to use that ability because that part that she consumed is back on its original user. When the consumed body part regenerates through reverse curse technique, the sorcery value hits 0, making it impossible to satisfy copy's conditions. We made use of Inumaki and Kurusu's arms after determining that regeneration was impossible through modern medicine and reverse curse technique. Charles temporarily lost part of his ribs. You'll fix me later, right? Yeah, later. Todo told you about resonance, right? Yeah. That's why we're putting this into motion right before fighting Sukuna. I knew we were gonna find out what happened right before they all decided to fight Sukuna all at once, before Kashimo did. I'll give Itadori the minimum amount of data and tactical information needed. It makes sense to be careful, but even if we sense a big physical change, the resonance between Sukuna and Itadori shouldn't reveal what Itadori's thinking or the information he possesses. Why do you say that? Because Itadori can't read Sukuna's thoughts. And Ui is just, sleeping right next to Yuji, just little boy just laying up against him, knocked out. You're so confident. I doubt any secrets will get out in the confusion after the fight against Gojo-sensei, and I don't want to distract Itadori right before the fight. Itadori, even if you can't use them right now, Sukuna's curse techniques are already engraved in your flesh. Gojo-sensei confirmed it with 6 eyes. So, and then we get back to the present, where we see Yuji's fingers missing, and Sukuna's looking, going, "The boy's fingers. 2 are missing. That didn't happen just now. The one I used to transfer into Megami Fushiguro was the boy's left pinky. Sukuna's fingers. You never recovered the last one. That was a bluff. What fulfilled the copy conditions for Malevolent Shrine wasn't my finger, but the boy's." And in this... Yo, is this a big finger? This is a big finger, because in this tower, we have Utahime with Principal Gakuganji. I thought this was part of a domain, but this is an actual location. And we have Principal Gakuganji. Sukuna's fingers are special grade cursed objects, capable of withstanding physical force and sorcery. Can a cursed technique penetrate it? With a binding vow. If you give up trying to destroy the object from your plans and instead focus on penetrating the cursed technique itself, then it might work. Anyway, what concerns me more is it hasn't even been an hour since she woke up. She? Oh my god! What? It's Nobara! She's alive! Nobara's alive! She's got a massive patch over her eye, but Nobara's alive! Oh! Oh my goodness. And Nobara just standing there smiling with a patch over her eye over the... Wow. So when your girl's brother, who could use reverse curse technique on people, said, like, their chances are not 0, but I wouldn't hold out hope. That 1% chance of Nobara being alive after having half of her face blown out because of Mahito's idol transfiguration? She's alive! Nobara's alive! And a person Sukuna is not ready for! Because remember her curse technique. Remember that same curse technique of Nobara that was able to affect Mahito. She goes, "You better be happy, boys!" And she takes her nail, and then she puts it right in front. She has her like a straw doll, and she has it behind Sukuna's finger, and then she prepares to drive her nail straight through it. Resonance! And the nail goes straight through the finger, and all of a sudden, Sukuna's body erupts in spikes from the inside! Ain't no way y'all trump card was Nobara's resonance curse technique. That's something Sukuna had no idea about, because at the time when he came back, he didn't even consider Nobara's curse technique. Let alone consider Nobara at all, because at the time, we all thought Nobara was dead. Her whole body both the manga and the anime made it seem like Nobara was dead. And now, her curse technique is just ravaging his body from the inside. Black spikes just erupt out of his chest. Ugh. This is that girl's. Oh, so he does know. He does know about Nobara's curse technique. This is that girl's. Darn it. My curse technique is, I can't open my domain. This means that boys can't miss attack.
Ha! Gotcha, you idiot.
And then Yuji smiling as Yuji uses dismantle on Sukuna. He uses dismantle on Sukuna! Yo, Nobara. And he just uses it over and over, and Sukuna is constantly getting hit. And then Yuji is punching Sukuna, sending him flying into... He hits Sukuna and causes Sukuna to spit up fingers. But in retaliation, while Sukuna's still spitting up, he goes, "Not so fast," and proceeds to hit Yuji directly into his chest. Did the boy think he could strip me away with a half-baked domain? He hasn't been able... Pardon me. He hasn't been able to heal his wounds because of reverse curse tech, so he's way past his limits too. Hold on. Voice scraggly. He hasn't been able to heal his wounds. No, you gonna let me get there. He hasn't been able to heal his wounds because of reverse curse tech, so he's way past his limits too. And the massive cursed energy consumption due to the domain means you're the one who'll die! As Yuji and Sukuna continue to exchange blows. But Yuji's punch looks like it goes past Sukuna's face, and then all of a sudden, Sukuna gets hit! A double blow with a temporal difference? Wow! So, Yuji looks like he didn't hit Sukuna, but he actually did. A temporal difference in the position of his punch. So Yuji looks like he missed Sukuna's face, but the impact still hit him. A punch with a temporal difference in visuals and physical meaning. A double blow with a temporal difference? And then Yuji goes, Sukuna, let's finish this. Your curse must end. And Yuji is holding his hands as he's preparing to use Black Flash again. Black Flash! And Yuji, with what may be the strongest showcase of Black Flash, hits Sukuna dead center. Dead center! Sukuna's face, his eyes, all of his eyes are bulging. He's not reflexively moving any sort of way. Yuji is literally lifting him in the air just from this punch. And Sukuna's eyes are widening over. Blood is spewing from Sukuna. And that's the end of the chapter. Ain't no way you brought back... There ain't no way that Nobara's alive and her curse technique was able to make Sukuna falter just so he can get punched in the chest with a divergent fist Black Flash. Wow, that is solid. That is solid. This was a good chapter. This was a good chapter. So, one thing I really like about Jujutsu Kaisen is how in-depth they go with explaining curse techniques. Learning about copy and its limitations. The amount that Rika is able to consume determines just how powerful a technique that she is able to manipulate and copy. And if the person regenerates the limb that Rika has consumed, then her ability to use that technique that she's taken from that piece that she's eaten from someone, it diminishes to the point where she can't use it anymore. So if a person who gives up their entire arm for Rika to use their technique regenerates their arm through the use of reverse curse technique, then Rika gets locked out of being able to use that technique because the value of it has diminished. So learning about that and then seeing this big old plan that Yuta and Gojo put into action, finding out that their alternative was to have Yuji let me go back through this again because this was such a good chapter. So let me see here. So if you can use reverse curse technique, yada yada. Let's see, Itadori, even if you can't use them right now, Sukuna's curse techniques are already engraved in your flesh. Gojo Sensei confirmed it with 6 eyes. So, and then seeing that, so the thing is, they faked out, I understand it now. They faked out Sukuna and thinking that Yuji was able to copy curse technique because because Yuji, well, give me a sec. What Sukuna thought that Yuta, what we all thought Yuta was able to use Malevolent Shrine from was once one of Sukuna's fingers. We all thought that, a lot of us all thought that he used Sukuna's fingers, but no, he took Yuji's fingers because the techniques of Sukuna were already ingrained in Yuji's flesh. So he willingly gave up his 2 fingers so that Rika could copy Shrine, Malevolent Shrine, copy the conditions for it, so that Yuta would be able to use it to make Sukuna think that Yuta had that final finger that he needed. But no, it was a bluff, because the finger is being held in a building overseen by Utahime and Principal Gakuganji. And the person who is going to be able to injure Sukuna from a distance and Sukuna wouldn't be able to do anything about is the returned and healed, slightly, Nobara, who uses her curse technique Resonance to disrupt Sukuna's body, interrupting him before he can even use his own domain expansion, and keep him from using his curse techniques, making him falter so that he releases Wicker Basket so that Yuji is able to punch him directly, and being able to touch him and use Dismantle on his soul, and then proceed to hit him with a Divergent Fist Black Flash that just whites over his eyes. This was a plan that went into play. This was a plan that went into play before all the major fighting started. This was back when Gojo was still alive before he fought Sukuna. This is the plan they had from the very beginning. Oh my goodness, this was a phenomenal. This was a 10 out of 10 chapter. Real quick, they brought back Nobara. That's insane. And you know what? I am so glad I stayed off the internet and stayed away from anything Jujutsu Kaisen related, because had I been spoiled on this one moment, it would have hurt. But this was me getting up and screaming. I did not even remotely think that we would have Nobara come back, and she has one of the most goated moments in the series, inflicting severe damage against Sukuna, allowing Yuji to go in for the hit. I gotta read everything that you guys have said. I gotta acknowledge every single one of you. Okay, so Nate, Angel, Boo Boo Dude, CDs, Holster, Calzone, Who else? Anime All Day TV, everyone who showed up here. Ruslan as well. Good to see every last one of you. Now, real quick, let's just get a reminder of what Nobara's curse technique actually is. So her technique is Straw Doll technique. Nobara's technique involves utilizing jujutsu through a set of tools that includes a hammer, nails, and a straw doll. By channeling her cursed energy through the tools, Nobara can utilize a number of different techniques, including sharing damage between her straw doll and her target. So Resonance is the one. Resonance is what she used. Resonance applies Nobara's cursed energy to her target using a straw doll as an effigy. She can use a severed body part of her target to establish a link to attack the more critical appendages of her target's body. Upon activation, Resonance causes large black spikes to protrude from the target's chest. This was done with Eso. This was first done with Eso and then used again on Mahito, and now it's been used again on Sukuna. And Sukuna does not have a defense against this. So real quick, to get more in depth with it, and y'all know I love reading about curse techniques. I'll read your comments in a sec. This technique applies cursed energy to the user's target using a straw doll as an effigy. The user will generally use one body part of their target to create the link and then use resonance to apply damage to the more critical appendages of the opponent's body. For example, by placing a curse's severed arm on the straw doll and striking it with a nail using a hammer, the nail can be used to pierce the targeted curse's heart. The effectiveness varies depending on the opponent's skill level, the targeted body part, and the strength of the connection to the user's target. If a link is made to multiple targets, resonance will injure them all at the same time. It also works on inanimate objects and can disrupt someone else's control over them. And that's the capabilities of Nobara's curse technique. All right. Let me see. Okay, why is that? Why is there key people? Why is there little people? Yo, hello. Yeah, the captions were very weird. This is my Mountain Diao. This is my their bodies swapped. Remember Gojo and Yuta switch and train with each other during the time? Yeah, I was massively concerned. I was massively concerned about trying to understand the opening conversation between Yuta and Gojo, and I completely forgot that they did the transplant training. I forgot that they did that. It just completely went out of my it completely went out of my mind. I was all like, this is weird. Wait, this sounds like Gojo speaking, but he's in Yuta's body. And I forgot the displacement training. I forgot about that. I'm sorry. So that negligence is on me. This was before Yuta used Kenjaku's curse technique. Yes, okay. Translation issues are happening. No, it wasn't translation issues. It was I completely forgot about the displacement training. Because Ui is broken. That's too long. Didn't read of things. Thank you, Halster, for that. If it's a normal wound, it can heal on its own, though. Does it still count as healing? It's not reverse curse technique, though. It's just your own body healing itself. Minimum seems to be a finger. No way some skin would satisfy the conditions. No, it's too small. Good to see it confirmed that Rika did eat Yuji's finger. So how did he copy Inumaki then? Inumaki still has his fingers, I think. Well, his arm got cut off. Yeah, his arm got cut off when it was showing Hanakurusu and Inumaki. With Inumaki, they probably went with cutting his arm off instead of using medicine for Hanakurusu. She's back. Imagine Gege kills her right after. This is such a good use for her, too. She excels at attacking people's souls from a distance rather than being up close in the battlefield. Like even Mahito said that Nobara is his natural counter. Out of everyone that exists in the world with their curse techniques, Nobara is his natural enemy, since she is able to target every single one of his appendages that he decides to detach from himself, with him manipulating his own soul and body. Nobara is the only person in existence who's capable of inflicting harm on all of them at the exact same time. All she needs is just a piece of them, and every single one of them will be affected. Mahito's natural enemy. Oops, I put distance twice, but oh well, it's all good. Nobara probably cut off some of her face so idle transfiguration didn't spread. Who can say? Who can say? There's a reason Gege left her status on unknown. Yeah, I'm not surprised he knew about her curse technique, but since Megumi and Yuji didn't know she was alive when Sukuna was in either of their bodies, there's no way he knew she was still alive. He didn't, but he recognizes the technique. But the mere thought of her being alive to use that technique probably never crossed his mind. So she could come back at the perfect time. Divergent fists. Sukuna doesn't know he left his fingers cut off on purpose. He thinks he's unable to heal his wounds. No. Sukuna thinks that, he's not healing his wounds. No, it's to make it so that they faked out Sukuna this whole time. So that's on purpose. It was on purpose. Yuji is stronger than Yuta, in my opinion. I mean, he has the greatest potential to be on the same level as Sukuna, because they are, in a weird way, related to each other. Because Sukuna's unborn twin that he consumed, he reincarnated as Yuji's father. And so, basically passed on those genes to Yuji. And that's the reason why Yuji has inhuman levels of strength. We always wondered what's going on with Yuji, but now we know he's basically has been passed on the genes of one of the most powerful people to exist, thanks to the unborn brother of Sukuna, basically pretty much helping give birth to Yuji, with Kenjaku really weirdly being involved in this whole situation. It's still weird. The whole thing is still weird. If you think about it, it's still weird. But yeah, 4 more chapters. Yeah, 4 more chapters before this series is over. And we're not going on break after this one. We're not going on break after this chapter. We got another one next week. One Piece is on break. But Jujutsu Kaisen, yeah, we're getting that. We're getting that next week, so I can't wait to see where things go after Nobara is using resonance on Sukuna, and Sukuna can't do anything about it because they're in a completely separate location. And Sukuna has no idea where they are. They're in a completely separate location, and Nobara is capable of using resonance repeatedly if she wanted to, while Yuji continues to use Dismantle to separate the soul of Sukuna from Megumi, and also landed a very solid, quite possibly devastating Black Flash on Sukuna. This was a good chapter, it really was. Let's see. I'm glad you happy. I've seen mixed reactions about her being alive. I'm surprised and shocked, but I feel like I'm happy that Nobara's back, because her status has always been unknown. Not confirmed to be dead, but unknown. So I kept to myself to see what Gege was going to do. At least endurance-wise, Commodore Les literally cried. He was so happy. I have no idea who that is. Is that a reactioner to Jujutsu Kaisen? Interesting. I'm happy. He's happy. Now that I think of it, Yuji is so strong right now because of his hatred towards Sukuna. Yuji's a goat, pretty much. I like how Yuji smiled too. I'm happy seeing him happy finding out Nobara is alive when he sees Sukuna convulse in pain when hit by her curse techniques. Not only that, but he recognizes the spikes because both times when he was fighting Mahito and Eso, he was there to see Nobara use her curse technique, so he recognizes the spikes popping out of the body. He recognizes that, so it's all like, only one person could be doing that. Nobara's alive! Even after we were told, don't hold out too much hope for her. She survived. So I wonder if Shoko had a part to play in healing up Nobara, since she's technically the strongest reverse curse technique user out of Jujutsu High. Just saying. Plus the fact she woke up barely an hour ago too. She's on that demon time. Nobara's on that demon time going like, all right, I'm up. Give me an eye patch and take me to Sukuna's finger, because I'm about to go hammer time on that pinky. I love this chapter. I really do. Let's see, ain't it amazing how manga and anime, how characters come up with a plan that's ahead in many different levels? I had no idea. We had no idea that their planning for Sukuna went back this far. They had a massive contingency plan. What we thought was them just going in with plans? No, there was a plan in motion before the fight between Gojo, who was recently released from the prison realm, all the way until now. They had this plan in mind. So the entire time, when Yuji went out there with the missing finger, it was all for the purpose of making Sukuna think that Yuta had it, and then just let him completely be bluffed by it the entire time. Sukuna fell for it. As vast as his perception is and how smart he is, he fell for it completely. Yuji is the best for being head-to-head with an enemy, and when Megumi had Shikigami, he was good for support, and Nobara is best for being behind the scenes with her curse technique. You got these 3 friends who are capable of using curse techniques that work on all wavelengths. Megumi for support and long range, Nobara Megumi for support, Nobara for behind the scenes and distance use, and Yuji for up close. What's left? Hakari versus Uraume is probably getting off screen. Sukuna technically isn't dead yet either, so he needs to die. Stuff with Yuta on if he's gonna die or not with Kenjaku's curse technique. Yeah, there are still many things that need to be resolved before this whole thing is over. Like, remember the culling game? Remember, that's still a thing that's very much active right now. We still got the culling game that's still going on, with the whole intents and purposes of every dead soul combining with Tengen to create some sort of final curse technique spirit from the amalgamation of all the people that died during the culling game. We still need to see that whole matter resolved so people who are involved in it can leave freely and not just instantly die the moment they try to get out of it. So that's one thing we need to see completely resolved. We also need to see what, like you said, what happens with Yuta since he kind of transferred into Gojo's body, and if there's a way for him to get back to his own. Because remember, last time we saw Yuta, he fell face first because he pretty much reached his limit, so we need to see what happens with that. As you said, also, we need to see the conclusion between Kinji Akari versus Uraume. We still got that going on. And of course this, with Yuji finally gaining a massive upper hand thanks to the efforts of Nobara, and seeing what happens at the end of this fight between Sukuna and Yuji. Oh yeah, the culling game too, I forgot about that. I didn't. I hope that the I hope that the matter will break down the merger. There's only one way to find out. We only got 4 more chapters of Jujutsu Kaisen left. We're getting a new one next week, so only time will tell if all things will be concluded smoothly. Human 64. Megami lucky Sukuna healed his body. Otherwise, if he returned in the state it was in chapter 263, he would be crippled. You're not wrong. The amount of damage he suffered. Yeah. So we're just going to have to see. We're going to have to see. But all I can say is Nobara is back and she's ready for that hammer time. I can't believe Nobara's back. I'm happy about it. I don't know how other people feel. Not my place to say whether they're wrong or not. But Nobara being back and her curse technique being one of the biggest trump cards to be used for a final fight against the King of Curses, I think that's phenomenal. I think that's great. I enjoyed it. So, no break for Jujutsu. So that'll probably be the only thing I react to this upcoming Sunday. But yeah, I'm done, ladies and gentlemen. Family just got home. It's time to eat some pizza. But to everyone who showed up here today to basically just watch my reaction to today's chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen as we count down to the final chapters. We got 4 more left. Thank you for taking the time to watch me. You didn't have to. You don't owe me anything to be here. You don't owe me anything to just watch even a couple of seconds of me. I just want to say thank you for taking the time, because it really means a lot, and it helps the channel in the long run. I'm done today. Hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later peoples, Nobara's back, baby!